Hi folks, I'm Jared Bentley and you're watching the Pop Chronicle on JohnsonCityPress.com. On this latest edition of the Pop Chronicle, I have once again enlisted the help of some friends, and I asked them this question: what was the movie or movies that defined your childhood?
I mean, if we only had a wheelbarrow, that would be something.
And this time I'll kick things off and then pass it off to others because I have what I think is a pretty good choice: Blade Runner. I guess the pat answer for someone who grew up in my generation would be Star Wars for that film that defined your childhood. It had a huge impact on everyone at the time of its release. And while that was the film that made me appreciate movies, it wasn't until Ridley Scott's Blade Runner that I began to appreciate film. The dark, moody sets and the scenes were so real, and the vision of our depressing, artificial, intelligence-infused future, they were themes I quickly became enthralled with. It wasn't really escapism, it was fantasy as hyper-realism in a sense. I was assured that this was the distinct vision of our future, and I was hooked from the start. It's still my favorite science fiction movie, and will probably remain so. So like I always say, if you get a chance to see Blade Runner, make that happen.
I'm Jessica Fuller, and the movies that defined my childhood were the Lord of the Rings trilogy. If you've known me for longer than 30 seconds, you know what my favorite movies are. I was 11 years old when I saw the first movie. I was picking out a movie to watch over the weekend while my mom was grocery shopping, and I don't really know what drove me to pick it up, but I immediately fell in love with the trilogy. And to this day, my best friend and I, we still make a point to marathon it at least once a year. But I think for a kid, it was one of the first times I really got sucked into another world. I remember I wanted to live there all the time. I read all the books. I even learned a little bit of Elvish. I really got into it. They really shaped my interests as I grew into a teen and an adult, and pushing me into my other interests like Dungeons and Dragons and anything high fantasy, really. But more than that, I think the themes really stuck with me as I grew up. Namely, finding hope in despair, getting in touch with your inner strength and finding your courage, and most importantly for me, the immeasurable strength of friendship. That really shaped me as a person.
I know I said I was going to get other people involved, but I just keep popping up in here because there's another film that defined my childhood, or at least made my childhood that much better, and that was Young Frankenstein. Peter Boyle, Madeline Kahn, Marty Feldman, Cloris Leachman, Terry Garr, the incomparable and uber-talented Gene Wilder, and the genius of Mel Brooks. This is the best horror movie spoof ever made, ever created, and one of the funniest movies that has ever existed. If you've never seen Young Frankenstein, you must see it now. And as a kid watching this film, a little of it kind of flew over my head, but I gotta tell you, the stuff that didn't stuck for a lifetime. I will watch this movie if it is on at any time, any day, any chance I get. Young Frankenstein.
Hi, I'm Hannah Swayze, and the movie that defined my childhood was Disney's Lilo and Stitch. In the beginning of the movie, Lilo, who's like this weird misfit girl, she prays for a friend because she has no friends, and she's kind of going through a hard time. And what she gets is this weird alien creation, and they adopt him like he's a dog, and they become family, which is so weird because he's an alien from another planet and she's like this weird little girl. And I guess as a child, I just really identified with her being this weird misfit, and I also wanted a friend who, you know, didn't think that I was weird and was just as weird as I was and wanted to become family. And just watching that movie when I was so little, it was really, really short, but we would watch it, and I just remember thinking that is so sweet that they would come together and be this family, because the whole movie, the tagline is, "Oh, Hana means family, and family means nobody gets left behind." So I always watched that movie and I was like, I want that. I want all of my friends to be my family and to find that sense of belonging.
Okay, I told you I was just going to pick one film, and it probably wasn't going to be Star Wars because that was the film that defined everybody's childhood back in the 70s. But you know what?
You're my only hope.
When I was a wee child, I got to go see Star Wars with my family, and that summer I saw it dozens of times. I mean, we went and saw it over and over and over again. It was amazing. It was just pure escapism to a world and to a universe that we will never see or be a part of, but yet we were for that short amount of time. Everybody knows the impact that it had on film and on popular culture for decades to come afterwards, and we're still celebrating those characters and the stories today. Star Wars was a film for a 6-year-old kid that just completely opened my eyes to what fantasy could be. And that's what good movies do, especially when you're young. They take you places that you don't believe, and once you see them, you can't help but believe that place is real. Let us know the films that defined your childhood in the comments, and keep up with us here at JohnsonCityPress.com and Pop Chronicle. I'm Jared Bentley. Thanks for watching.